Tomodachi Life is chaotic, funny, cursed, and unhinged, but here's the thing, this is one of those games that has a very niche and specific type of player, so if you go in not knowing what to expect, you're gonna regret buying it. As someone who adores the 3DS version and is loving my time with the new game, I'm getting a lot of questions whether it's worth buying at full price. Well, there's a lot to love, but also a lot to be wary of, some of which I don't see many talking about, which can be a complete turnoff for you. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly if Tomodachi Life Living the Dream is the game for you, if it's going to be a wait for sale, or perhaps a skip altogether. If you're looking for more Tomodachi Life content, make sure to squish the like and subscribe buttons. I'm gonna be working on a tips and tricks video for you, and I don't want you to miss out. Starting with the story, well, this is where the first issue might pop up for some of you. There isn't any story per se. Instead, the game feels like you're watching a reality TV show and you're never sure what's going to happen next. You can create up to 70 Miis and you're essentially the creator of this world. You're gonna manage things behind the scenes. You can choose your hand's skin tone, but they're pretty limited, which is something that I haven't seen many people mention. But the clash between the cartoony world with your realistic hand is already one of the many things you're gonna realize that is just weird about this game, but all of this weirdness is implemented in the best way possible. When you're creating your Mii, you've probably already noticed or even seen many videos that show you the abundance of customization options. So I'm not gonna bore you, by going over all of this again, and you can try this for yourself by downloading the demo from the eShop and making 3 Miis, and then you can transfer the save file to the full game. I've imported my Mii from my Metopia save. I also created Angie, I added Humoris, and I brought in Mocha from the Nintendo Direct, but I renamed Mocha to Teddy. And yeah, Yu is already tormenting Angie, but somehow they're best friends. I find them hanging out all the time, so I guess justice has been served for Angie after all. Teddy also fell in love with Kuromi. I'll show you how I made Kuromi in a bit if you're interested. Now, one thing I want to point out is that in the customization, there is a lack of a color wheel for skin tones. It just feels a little bit odd because we have a wide range of colors for the face paint, and you also have an option to go more in depth with your color choice using this wheel here. So with skin tones, you can go wild with blues and purples and greens, but when it comes to actual skin tones, the options are surprisingly limited. It's a very small thing, but it still stood out to me because I still haven't seen a lot of people mention that either. I also wish we had, more long, curly or wavy hair options. This is a struggle that I face in almost every single game, but I came across this Reddit user who managed to create baby hairs using face paint, and I am in love with this. And if you're struggling with painting, there are some styluses that you can find online that you can buy, and they seem to make the process a lot easier. So what's the main quest gonna be like? The main quest, it revolves around creating more Miis, because that's how you unlock new buildings, new gameplay features, special items, and little quirks that you can give to your Miis. When you start playing, the game is gonna feel pretty empty. Everything's gonna feel a bit lifeless. There aren't many Miis around, and the island itself is pretty small compared to what we've seen in the Nintendo Direct. But as soon as you start placing more Miis and you get through the tutorial, which seems to last for the first 8 Miis that you get on board, you're gonna see the game slowly opening up. The Miis are gonna add more life to this, your island is gonna get bigger, and some buildings are gonna unlock by hitting a certain number of Miis, while others may have specific requirements. For example, the MNN news station unlocks once you've created 7 Miis, whereas the right price pawn shop appears after you've collected a few treasures from playing minigames with your residents. And I'm gonna show you a bit more of these shops in a bit. And by the way, progression is tied to different systems, and one of the main ones is the water fountain, which is making a return from the 3DS version. When you log in daily, you're gonna see that your Miis are leaving some money for you. These are their donations, and you can make use of that money. The fountain also has its own leveling system where as you level it up, you're gonna unlock new features. So you're gonna get access to the level up box where you can find new items to gift to your Miis to encourage them, to pick up some new hobbies like yoga, playing guitar, photography, and more. But you also have this quirks box, which are these unique behaviors that you can give to your Miis to shape up their personalities. So you can use quirks like certain walking styles, certain eating styles, appetite sets, and more. You see, every Mii is gonna have one of the different 16 personalities based on the options you choose during Mii creation. You're essentially mixing traits here when it comes to their movement, their speech, energy, thinking, and their overall vibe. The resulting personality determines their assigned color, which shows up in their starting outfit and room. And this is where quirks help because they're gonna add even more personalities. So you get a bit of a say in some of the ways that your Miis are going to behave. For instance, one Mii might walk around like a model, another one might float around, and then you can have another one that just walks awkwardly and doesn't even move their arms. In the fountain, you're also gonna unlock things like TNC renovation room sets, quick build amenities, and terraforming materials like sand, cobblestone, and bricks. There's even a section tied to the pallet house workshop where you can expand your creations. So not only can you make food items, but you're also gonna make different clothing items, treasures, and island decorations. And this is where you're gonna get maybe a little bit of a daunting feeling, and you're gonna see a similar problem that we've seen in games like Animal Crossing and more recently Pokopia. If you're not creative, it can feel a little bit overwhelming seeing other players make incredible designs already, because unlike the 3DS version, you can't import things through QR codes. The only way to share creations is through local wireless with someone you know. I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone in real life who's playing Tomodachi Life who also is very creative and also happens to live near me. So when the game lets you create up to 70 Miis and you're hearing the same customization music just play over and over and over again, it just becomes annoying. Granted, you can use either the create from scratch or you can have the game guide you a little bit. I just feel like by the 50th character, surely this is gonna become a lot. Like, I'm not even interested in making more than 15 Miis, 20 tops. But if you're creative, this is gonna give you an insane amount of freedom. And I've already seen some crazy, incredible, beautiful creations from the community. And by the way, there are some workarounds so far. Like, you can use this website called Tomodachi Share, and you can share Miis from the 3DS version. So you can get Miis from there and then have them on your 3DS version, and then seems like there's a way to import them to your Switch. Based on what I've been told, it seems to require a lot of steps to do, and honestly, I just can't be bothered by all of this. That said, I used one of the creations that I found on the Tomodachi Share website, and this is how I managed to create Kuromi. So that was pretty fun because the creators can break down all of the features that they've used, and you can also see a snippet of what the face paint looks like, so you can just copy it yourself. I also found a YouTube channel called Kawaii Beth that has been recreating some of the Nintendo Direct Miis like Crystal and Hugh Morris, and we're seeing more and more channels pop up that are sharing incredible creations. So if you are patient and you're okay with the DIY segment of it, you can simply watch them and try to create the Miis yourself. I also feel like a stylus would probably be necessary because even with using the touchscreen, like I have nails, so it's been pretty difficult to draw like the small attention to detail, and even with the Nintendo controller, it's just very finicky for me. So it's a little bit weird, and I wonder why Nintendo is not using the mouse feature for the Switch 2. Like, you know, have a Switch 2 upgrade so we can make use of it. I understand that the game is initially for the original Switch, but still, when we have the Switch 2 out, it would be nice to have a feature like that. So I feel like this is a missed opportunity. Back to the fountain, you have another fun reward, which is unlocking travel tickets. These are gonna let your Miis go on trips, and you can actually follow them around and take pictures of whatever chaotic or wholesome moments they experience. And if you're wondering, like, okay, but how do I progress the fountains level? So this is tied to collecting something called fuzzies. You're gonna earn these by interacting with your Miis, when you help them solve problems, when you buy them outfits or rooms that they like, and when you give them food that they enjoy. All of this is going to contribute to filling up your fuzzy bottle. And once it's full, your fountain level will go up. By the way, quirks and hobbies that you unlock, they're not immediately available. So you need to level up your Miis, and then you're gonna be prompted to assign them new hobbies or quirks. Whereas things like new amenities and rooms and whatnot, these will be readily available to buy, and you'll always get one as a gift for free that you can just use whenever you want. So I've seen a lot of people ask like, okay, but what's the goal? Like, what am I actually doing with these Miis? And the gameplay loop initially begins as fun and varied. There's a recency bias that will easily creep in, and being excited to unlock new shops and features, and eventually watching your Miis live their lives and helping them solve their problems. And with that loop, you're gonna start to see them as someone you care about. And with the Switch version, they're adding the player agency, so you can help introduce Miis to each other, which was something that we couldn't kind of like force ourselves in the 3DS version. But even with this feature available, you don't have full control over what your Miis are gonna do. You can give them a little bit of a nudge, but their reactions are beyond your control. If two Miis seem compatible, you can help initiate a friendship. Sometimes a Mii is gonna have even two friends, and then they'll be like, you know what, I think these two will get along, so can you pick a topic for them so that they can talk? And you can say no, or you can say yes. If you say yes, then you can choose what they're gonna talk about. It can be a thing, or a person, or an activity. And this is where I understand why Nintendo removed online sharing, because there's basically no filter here. Anything that you type out, your Miis are gonna voice it. You can even decide how they're gonna pronounce it. But the thing is, the clips that I've seen online, they are diabolical. Some have been funny to see, but others are just like insanely unhinged. But with that said, I kind of wonder like, okay, considering in Animal Crossing you can still share QR codes even though there are some crazy custom designs, why is it not allowed here? Like, okay, I understand Nintendo is making this decision because they kind of suspected what we're gonna see, you know, online, but I feel like it's a bit unfair to restrict an entire online feature in one IP and then just allow it in another. And it kind of feels like collective punishment because there are some of us who are genuinely just excited to import Miis that other people have created, for example. Anyways, back to the relationships, they are going to change and evolve over time. Your Miis are gonna start up as strangers, then they'll become acquaintances, then they can become friends, best friends, sometimes they can develop crushes, and it's not always two-sided, sometimes it can be one-sided. And your Mii can ask you whether they should confess their love or they should go on a date, but even if you encourage them, you don't know how the other Mii is going to react. You don't know what kind of outcome you're gonna get. Eventually, if two Miis get close enough, they can move in together, like I have Cupcake and Angie sharing a home, and you can influence what they tend to talk about inside the house, where all of these terms that you are putting into the game are gonna feed into the island's growing dictionary. And one thing I wish was handled a little bit differently is this dictionary, you cannot edit terms once you've added them, you can only delete them. So if you accidentally, I don't know, picked a wording that was wrong, you went with the plural option instead of the singular, you're either gonna be stuck hearing it grate your ears, or you're gonna have to delete it altogether and then wait for the Miis to prompt you to use that term again. But there's gonna be so many variables out there for you to be able to use that same wording with the same Miis again. I don't know if that makes sense, I hope it does. Now, outside of relationships, your Miis can ask you to play minigames like this zoom in quiz where you're shown 3 zoomed in objects and you gotta guess what they are. If you win, you can pick between a small, medium, or large box, and each of these is gonna contain treasure. These treasures can be sold at the right price shop, or you can gift them to your Miis. And you gotta remember that your Miis can like, love, dislike, or even loathe something that you gave them, and if you give them something they don't like or loathe, you're gonna see your Mii's level up bar actually go backwards and lose some points. Another thing you're gonna be doing is decorating your island through the island builder. You can place objects, you can use paths, you can shape the environment, do a little bit of terraforming. It starts off pretty limited, but this is where you're gonna log in regularly to unlock more options. You're gonna also use your fountain so you can get more wishes and unlock more. And I'm really happy to see some of them are seasonal. So for example, if your game is set in spring right now, you can use some of your wishes at the fountain to get these like cherry blossom themes items. I love cherry blossoms. If you look at my setup when I was in Lebanon, I have a full like cherry blossom wallpaper. So these are pretty neat to see. Shops are also gonna rotate their inventory. So you gotta check in daily. Home renovations are gonna refresh every Monday, whereas when you think about your clothing store and your food options, they're gonna change up every day. Sometimes your Miis are gonna ask you to place specific items down in specific places, so you just pay the money and they will do it themselves. But don't worry, you can always redecorate later, but keep in mind that placement is a bit restrictive. You can only rotate items at 90-degree increments, and you don't even have objects overlapping, so it's gonna be a little bit less flexible from other cozy games that you might have grown to enjoy. Now, as you progress, more facilities will open up. There's the Tomoria, where your Mies can hang out and eat. You've got the MNN station, where you're gonna get these daily reports that are just cursed, chaotic. These are things that your Mies have been doing when you are around. You can favorite some of them because your game can only store 49 before they start overwriting older ones. Then you have the marketplace, which I unlocked today. It basically has 3 shifts: morning, afternoon, and evenings, and each one has different items for you to buy. Some of them have like a gacha system where you buy the mystery box and you don't know what's inside, whereas the afternoon one gave me this weird outfit at a 50% discount. There are also a few more things that can be off-putting for you. This game does not like you to time travel, so when we're talking about you checking in regularly, this can be a problem. I know many of you mentioned to me during our Pocopia videos that you either work in night shifts or day shifts, and because the game is gonna sync with your real-life time, even your real-life seasons, you can end up always playing in the time that you just don't want. Like maybe you don't want to be stuck with the nighttime. And if you change the timing even by a few minutes, your daily specials are not gonna refresh for 24 hours. So imagine if you're frequently changing your time, even for other games that you might have on the system. With the game having so many items locked behind you checking in daily, you might be locked out of so many things and you'll be stuck with the same items for a really long time. So I would suggest check what time you want your game to be set in, change it once, and that way you don't have to worry about it. But remember that while in the daytime you can catch your Mies napping here and there, at night you're gonna find them sleeping, they're gonna be dreaming, and this is where you can find even more treasures. So if you're always playing just in the daytime, you might miss out on some of those. Another thing to be wary of is that this game is designed to be played in short sessions. Yes, sure, right now you can get away with playing a few hours because you're still creating your Mies, you're still unlocking features, everything is still new. But eventually, if you've played the 3DS version, you know that at one point you will reach a stage where you're just gonna be logging in for 30 to 60 minutes, then you're gonna log off. And a lot of you can find this game really boring. You know, even yesterday in the stream, so many people said, you know what, I'm okay watching someone play this game, but I don't think this game is gonna be for me. It seems like a snooze fest. I really like the game. I'm having a lot of fun. Again, I've played the 3DS version and I understand what it's about, but this is why I really say you have to know what you're walking into. If you're a veteran of this game, you already know if it's for you or not. But if you've never played this game and you're new, yeah, you might be caught off guard and be like, oh crap, I wish I did not buy this game at full price. And one more thing to be wary of is that you cannot control the game like you do in The Sims, especially when it comes to relationships, because I know many of you want to maybe ship certain couples together, or you want certain couples to hate each other, or different Mies to have specific relationship types. Even when you have the added player agency, ultimately your Mies will do whatever the F they want. So yeah, their stories are gonna shift, everything is gonna change. You either embrace the chaos or you're just not gonna like this game. Heck, even a couple can get married and you'll be so happy, then you'll find them butting heads all the time and eventually it results in a divorce. Oh, and before I forget, when you're interacting with a Mii, you're going to see this icon here. Every time you give them food, it will fill up, and eventually, if they are full, you can't give them more food. So you can't cheat the system and try to give them a lot of food so you can quickly level them up. And another thing is that while you can change your Mii's room completely, you can only go off of the sets that you've bought from the TNC renovation. But as far as I can tell, it's like the 3DS version where you cannot place furniture and decoration the way that you want to. So these rooms come pre-built. So we've talked about the good and some of the hiccups, but the question is Tomodachi Life the game for you? If you're new on this channel, we go with this game is for you if, not for you if, and my verdicts. So, this game is for you if you love a sandbox game where you're creating your own stories, but also you don't really have that much control. You know, you have a little bit of agency, but you're also okay with letting your Miis do their own thing. It's also for you if you love checking in daily, you don't mind that time travel is gonna have some penalties. It's for you if you are creative, or at least you enjoy experimenting with customization. It's for you if you like quirky, weird humor, you know, unhinged moments. And it's definitely for you if you are a collector, because you've got a ton of items and outfits and rooms and foods and whatnot to unlock. However, it's not the game for you if you're looking for a game that has a guided story and it has specific quests for you to do. If you really want to force the outcome of relationships in a game. If you get tired, by the way, of repetitive music, because this game has very repetitive music, you're gonna not like this. It's also not for you if you don't like logging in or being forced into not having the freedom to time travel as much as you want to. And it's not for you if you're thinking, okay, this is a game that I can just binge and play endlessly for a really long time, because at one point you're gonna start getting into the loop of checking in for 30 to 60 minutes tops and just leaving the game. As for me, I'm happy to see Nintendo give us more creative freedom with this one, and they even tried to add new features that welcome newcomers, but they also still maintain that essence that made Tomodachi Life so fun and good for us veterans. But I'm very disappointed with the removed online features. However, I wouldn't say that this will deter me from playing this game further. I knew exactly what I was walking into in terms of the gameplay loop. I've mentioned many times on the channel, I love games that require me to log in daily, because you know what? They always end up becoming part of my daily routine for a long time, and I always connect with them, and I come back and tell you stories about how meaningful these daily routines have become for me as a gamer. I know I still have like a few buildings to unlock here and there. I'm also patiently waiting for some tutorials to create different Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077 characters, as well as Todd Howard. And yeah, I'm excited to see my island expand, but there is no way in heck that I'm making more than 20 Miis. Let me know if you picked up Tomodachi Life, which Miis have you created, and what you think about it so far. Thank you to my YouTube and Patreon bubblies who make videos like this possible, and a shout out goes to The Game Dimension, Stella, Jake Logan, Faye, Blessing, Charming Kara, Fufei, Andrew, Emmy, and Cookie for going the extra mile. Until next time, stay bubbly.